Third time's the charm, baby. We're back to progress. This week was a tad slow, but we still have plenty to cover, so let's get right into it. Progress may be slow, but I'm willing to brave through it to get to the end. Okay, it's recap time. Last time we left off with some beta designs, concept art, advanced coding. By the way, if you want to watch the previous logs, those will be in the card right here. Okay, let's start off with that, shall we? Over the past week, I've been gathering concepts from my mind for characters, concepts, and more. Chosen! Oh god, what is it now? Why have you made such little steps this week? Wow, you really are just the manifestation of my internal. Basically, this week I got pretty busy. Despite making some progress, I was still occupied by other things. Schoolwork, hanging with friends, having a healthier sleep schedule. But I still made plenty of progress. Well, you didn't share any updates. Well, actually, I did. I posted a funny bit of information on my community tab and Twitter. You can keep tabs on those if you want the tiny things, because these devlogs might get a little more spaced out soon. Anyways, let's get on to the first thing I did this week. Rooms, an essential part to any video game, level design. I've did this room with the houses of Hunter and Cyan to, well, include Cyan's house, but also made the trees a little bit smoother and more style consistent by making the wood lineless. Also, yeah, made Cyan's house. It has no interior as of now, not the biggest concern. Speaking of interiors though, I did finish the room of Hunter's house. Just the first room, don't go in his bedroom, it doesn't look that great. This took forever to get right, and I'm not sure I'm happy with this iteration yet, but what do you think? Comment below. I think it's mainly some wonky scaling. Also, I started on this room that I showed the concept art for last week. It's pretty rough though, and I might have to revise some bits. So let's get into some location info / concepting. This is basically the working concept that I've had for the main location that the player starts in, which is Element Village, as I probably said in a previous devlog. This town is at the center of the Lush Wilds region, in a realm as old as time, for it contains the only existing elemental gems in all of the multiverse. I have a collection of locations I want to spread around in the wild, so stay tuned for those. They're just waiting to be brought to life. Element Village is a center for all sorts of trade and commerce, but it also has a dark underside of suspicious activity. There's a hidden black market somewhere in the town that's always got trouble in store for all who buy goods from it. There's also a normal bazaar filled to the brim with shops and NPCs, and also, located just on the outskirts of town, is an animal pen where all sorts of exotic beasts live. The town is in the center of the desolate wilds, and there's always nomads and travelers passing through. There's all sorts of other big locations spread throughout the wilds I'll cover when they become more relevant, but enjoy this little slice that I just gave you for now of this location. So with that location out of the way, and the level design progress showed, let's get a little deeper. Okay, so with menus, this wasn't a thing last time, so also this one might be a little short. Almost directly after the last video, I started on the game's main menu. This is what it looks like now, and it has gone through quite a few iterations, especially the first two menu options. Those went through a lot. The load and new options were originally the same selection effect. I don't really have footage of the old load icon, but take my word for it. I also wasn't happy with it, so I changed it to this sentient save file creature. The settings and quit option surprisingly did not go through that many iterations for now, but the quit option did go through two. It originally was a red door, and I appropriately changed it to be purple with translucency for an effect, to be more in theme with the rest of the game's palette. And going with the quit button, I made it work with this cool exit animation. Here's that now. Also, I plan on keeping this graph paper aesthetic for most of the game's menus. Speaking of the menus, I've made a very rough concept drawing of the inventory system. I'm not sure how this will work in terms of programming, but I'm sure I can figure it out along the way. Basically, for a simplified version of what I want with this inventory system, I want every item in the game to have some sort of like interaction or combat feature, just to make everything a bit more dynamic and fun to mess around with for strategy. A lot of this game is based on the idea of making a playground for the players to come up with more unconventional means of fighting when the conventional means fail. Also, I have a rough idea for how crafting system might work if I decide to implement that and get that ambitious, but probably very far away. Another tiny thing is that I created a little startup loading screen animation so that the game doesn't randomly drop frames on startup in the menus. Also, yeah, this loading screen made us a new logo. Time to go through and change every piece of promotional art I have on hand. Yay. After making this new logo, I wanted to revamp the title screen, so I drew up a simple background and for now put the sprites on it to make this title screen. Something I want to do for the title screen is that the background might change as the game progresses, so I'm hoping I can find a way to do that once I implement save games. With all the surface level stuff out of the way, let's go on to programming section. So the programming this week got a bit crazy, so let's get into some highlights, shall we? I programmed and animated this 6-scene transition. It changes the rooms once the screen is entirely covered in these black graph paper squares. We're really using the graph paper thing to the max here. Oh yeah, you may notice in some of these clips, there's a large red camera following the player. I finally made a worthwhile camera system that properly shows you what's ahead of you after having to deal with GameMaker's admittedly very finicky viewport system. This was absolute hell to program, and I'm still working out some of the kinks with it. Don't be surprised if I overhaul it by the time the next log comes around, probably in a couple weeks. Also, I refined the new game option to set it so that only Hunter spawns instead of the entire party for how I play in the intro to go. Oh, and now we got into this week's behavioral oddities. I made the fatal error button, and then subsequently also brought back the fatal error vortex from the last devlog. This bug is going to forever haunt me, I swear. Also, yeah, the room transition animation was what was causing the fatal error vortex before, and so it's always something to do with that. Other than that, there was a strange result of the new game buttons sometimes spawning a cyan to follow Hunter despite it not being intended, which I fixed. So how about we get on to... Let's end with another set of concepts, shall we? Here's a big one. Void. You may have noticed him in the last two videos making some cameo appearances. Well, he's actually of some significance as a side character concept. See, he's not just any other guy with random fox ears. He's basically a god, and he has the ego of a person that was randomly turned into a god, despite always being one. He and his sister rule the two fundamentals of this reality that the game takes place in, time and space. Void is the twin of space, being able to manipulate and create things using his fantastical abilities. Though sometimes he gets a little out of line and starts meddling with the affairs of mortals on a power trip of his own satisfaction. During those, his sister will normally catch him and set things right with whatever mortal he is wrong. Another cool concept that was seen in the original Twitter post, the as yet unnamed Between Realms zone. Yeah, I kind of hate the original name for this place, so if you have any cool ideas for names for this area, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Basically, this is a place between dimensions, an in-between world, where all sorts of junk is collected, along with all sorts of lost people from various walks of the multiverse. You're not the first travelers to enter this place, so there's a lot to see here, and tons of things that your characters have probably never experienced. With its multiple islands and many sights to see, there will always be something to do here, I promise. I'll probably go more in depth on it in a future devlog once I have the idea way more fleshed out. And so that's that, Devlog 3. What a thing! I've loved working on this game, but I am definitely fearful of having to program some of this stuff. I've been making multiple iterations of the battle system, trying to land on something that works in my head, but coming up short. But I'll keep trying to push forward. I made a recent community post showing that I've definitely been taking steps in research at least. So I'll keep it up. Thanks for all of the awesome feedback from you guys. It really means a lot. All the positive comments have been keeping me going really well. So keep it up. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here and haven't already. It really means a lot, and it would be really nice to actually have a balanced sub ratio again. Also, the Patreon is still there if you want to support me and are stable enough to. Finally, my community tab. Again, I posted a poll there a couple of days ago where I asked if you wanted to see me do some more variety content on this channel in between devlogs, and I got a pretty unanimous yes vote. So prepare for another poll on what you all want me to talk about in said content.
Also, I forgot to say it, but I'm plugging my Discord.
This is probably going to be the last devlog for at least a couple weeks so that I can flesh out everything a bit more for your next glimpse at everything. So thank you for watching, for enjoying this, for commenting, and goodbye.